Hi everyone, welcome back. Yeah, I enjoyed doing the lemon painting yesterday. Really enjoyed that, a bit different. I want to kind of mix it up a bit at the moment, not just doing landscapes and sort of boats and stuff. I want to give you all a bit more of a variety of things I'm going to be painting. So today, just to keep the fruit theme on for a couple of days, we're going to have a go at doing an apple. Okay, now I had to practice this myself because I've not painted an apple for a long time. I can't remember the last time. I eat lots, but very seldom do I paint them. But so I had to practice it myself and had a few disastrous goes, but finally I nailed it. Now I want to share with you what I've learned today. So we're going to do it's going to be a relatively short video because it doesn't take long to paint an apple, but we're going to work through it together and I'll show you what I've learned today. Now the apple we're going to be painting is just here. I'll show you it first. That's the little fella we're going to paint. Just a little apple, nothing too exciting really. I haven't got a very good light source here, so I'm going to have to kind of create the shine on it to make the picture come alive a bit and create the shadows because the apple looks a bit flat in this light. So again, I'm going to be using my imagination and artistic license to create the highlights. So we'll get stuck straight in and see what we can paint today, see how we can make it turn out. Okay then, I've drawn out my apple to save wasting any time, because kind of like we all know how to draw an apple. You get your overall shape, make sure you get your proportions, and I'm going to start by applying a nice sort of yellowy green wash to most of the apple. And then on top of that I'm going to drop in my red wash, which is cadmium red with some alizarin crimson afterwards, making sure I retain the shine areas of the apple. So just going to lock this in. I'm using a big brush, but remember I can use the edge of the brush. I don't have to use the whole flat area, so it acts like a smaller brush as well. I'm just looking for where the green areas are. I want that to dry a little bit before. Let's have a little bit of a warmer colour for where the centre of the apple is and the core. And I'm just going to pop the core in, core stem with that, something like that. Okay. Now, make sure I clean my brush thoroughly. And I moved my red colour. Mix a little bit more of it. So I've got my cadmium red and some alizarin crimson. And I want to go with that first. Remembering to retain the shine areas. The highlights. This might be a little bit big now, this brush, but what you've got to be careful of is when you start painting like this is make sure the actual size of your apple doesn't start growing where you go over the edge, because then you end up with a big bulge on one side. So you've got to be careful. Okay, and the red wants to come across here, referring back to my apple all the time. Kind of across here. Just, I have to swap brushes now because it's a little bit too big. That one for around this area. And don't forget, this is the first wash we're doing to the apple. We'll be coming back in again in a bit. Bit of tinting. There's a slight bit of red down here. And I can lift out a bit of colour where the shine is. We just need to wait that to dry a minute. Lift out some of this colour. It's spread a little bit further than I wanted it to. But that's okay. Right, so I'm just mixing a slightly darker wash of the three colours. This time adding a little bit of ultramarine, just giving it a little bit more shadow on this side. And around the top. Just blend that in. Just lift some of that colour again. And by lifting the colour, you're just actually creating the textures on the apple. That you want. So I want to lift that highlight out a bit. Bit of tissue just to lift out a couple of little highlights. There we go. Okay, so all we need to do now, quite simply, is let that dry. Just want to lift out some colour there. A bit darker than I wanted. And then we'll come back and do the next wash. Might just add a little bit more blue. This side, darker colour. Okay. That'll do us for a minute. We'll come back and the next wash should see it finished off. Okay, then it's dried off a little bit. Just want to concentrate on this area inside the apple here. I just put some darks in there to try and get the feeling of depth. And around the top of that core. Now we want to apply some more subtle washes around the apple. So I'm just using a thinner wash of the red and a little bit of blue. And now I'm just going to do a bit of modelling, trying to create a little bit of form. Well, this is the bit I enjoy doing the most, to be honest. So it's just a little bit of cadmium red and a little bit of ultramarine. And I'm just trying to pick out some of the shapes. On the apple. And as we go down the bottom, because it's greener, I'm just going to use a little bit of the yellow mix, just quite a thin wash, and a bit of ultramarine in there, just to run over the bottom of the apple, to pick out some more of the greens. Soften those washes at the top. Just looking at it, right. So now I'm placing in the darkest darks now. And that's a mixture. I'm jumping between the red and the blue, and the green and the blue. Just pick up those darkest areas. Down here. Okay. Now I want to go back to my clean brush again, and if I can see any areas I want to soften, maybe soften that shine a little bit, I'm just lifting out the colour with a dry brush. I've cleaned it. But just very subtle changes that I can see. There's a just lifts back here. There's just a subtle shine there, so I'm just lifting it out at that point. Okay, so we'll just put the. I'm just going to mix a bit of a shadow for the apple, and for that I'm just going to use some cobalt blue and the remaining red. And I'm just going to pop that in. A bit more blue, a bit too red. Let that sort of fade out a little bit. It's not a very strong shadow. We'll come back to that in a minute and add a bit more dark to it when it dries a bit. At the moment, because it's so wet where I've applied the wash, it's just spreading out everywhere. So we want to make sure we just add a few more greens to this. And by doing these subtle washes now, all you're doing is building up layers of colour, and it makes the surface of the apple much more interesting, not just flat and my apple I've painted is a bit redder than my actual apple on the desk, but that's okay. I don't care. Okay, wait for that to dry and then we'll just come back and finish it off. Okay, I'm just going to put the shadow, a bit of shadow down the side of the core of the apple. Like that. Bit at the top. Bit more shadow down inside the apple. And then we've got the there's a little shadow caused by the stem of the apple that goes up over. Let's fade it out slightly there. But there we go. A little bit more green. Down there. And that's about it. So, we'll just tell you what we'll do just before we finish is just finish that shadow area a little bit. Just to balance things off. Just finish the shadow area. Anyway, there we go, something like that. Let's take this down. And we'll just put a little bit of give it a bit of interest, really. That's all that's doing. I'll try and build a bit of texture into it. Anyway. So, there we go. So that's basically it. There we go. There's a little demo on how I paint an apple. I hope you found it interesting. Don't forget, if you enjoyed the video, to give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe, and come back for more videos shortly, because there's lots more coming. So thanks for watching, and bye for now.